The final thing to mention is the very nature of talking to somebody for an informational interview has to be borne in mind. So you will feel a level of vulnerability and maybe stupidity because you're like, ooh, I don't have the answers. I'm essentially talking to this person as the mentor that they are. They have more information. They're the mentor. They have more market intel. They understand the industry better. They know the roles better. They've been in this area that maybe I haven't even been in for years. You will always feel a little bit vulnerable, but that's kind of where the magic happens, and that bravery and courage to research what you can, control the controllables, and then to realize when you can't research more. And that's the point at which you need to be a bit vulnerable and ask someone the outstanding questions. That's where the magic happens. You have to relinquish and surrender control a little because they have the magic that you need. They have the intel that you need. So you will always feel that vulnerability to an extent. But yeah, just remember, stepping outside that comfort zone is where the magic happens because they have the intel that you need. And they probably also have more than that. If they're a people person, they possibly and hopefully have the ability to see where you might thrive, to see what sort of type of person you are, and maybe sense where you would fit. And if they are more experienced and they're someone, as I say, with those people skills coupled with commerciality, they can probably save you a heck of a lot of time. So to give you a quick example, I spoke to a guy years ago. He'd been a banking lawyer at Linklaters, went onto the business development side. I was interested in going into BD post-law. Why? Because I thought I've got the unique selling point that I understand how law firms work. I also understand like the different areas in multi-practice law firms. I seem to be good at networking and business development, according to some senior partner, and have, semi-decent levels of commerciality and people skills. Okay, that's a bit modest. He sort of said you've got special skills there, which I hadn't realised because I was sort of quite young and inexperienced. So I went and spoke to somebody who'd moved from the legal side to the BD side and, took the approach that I mentioned in the prior videos, told him what my strengths apparently were, why I was interested. And he said, Mel, can I save you some time? You're really creative and entrepreneurial. You'd be incredibly frustrated in a BD role in a law firm because they're usually quite hierarchical and pyramid-like in structure. These busy partners, they don't necessarily want, necessarily the creative ideas of, more creative people. They're quite sort of fixed and rigid in thinking sometimes. It probably wouldn't be a place where you would thrive. I would maybe go the more kind of entrepreneurial route and lean into those strengths in a different capacity. And I thought, great, he's a really similar person. I feel like he really gets me and he's just saved me years. And that informed my decision not to go that route, the linked legal route, in a kind of BD role, which probably would have been very well paid, but ultimately quite unfulfilling for me in favour of, retraining in a sort of coaching capacity, which played more to, alternative options I considered, like leaning into the strong people skills and helping people through moments of vulnerability and change, which is one of the main pulls to family law in the first place. So when you go into these chats, you won't have the answer. You may have a few chats lined up with possibly quite different outcomes, leading you down different paths of roles, industries, and that's okay. You might feel confused at the start, but by the end of those chats, you'll be much nearer to truth, and that's where the magic happens.